28. By faith, Moses. Hebrews 11, 20-29. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. By faith, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph and worshipped, leaning upon the top of his staff. By faith, Joseph, when he died, made mention of the departing of the children of Israel and gave commandment concerning his bones. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents, because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandments. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures of Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. By faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured, as seeing him who is invisible. Through faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of blood, lest he that destroyed the firstborn should touch them. By faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which the Egyptians, assaying to do so, were drowned. Hebrews 11, 20-29. In verse 20 we are told, quote, By faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come, end quote. Our reaction on reading the Genesis 27 account is to focus on Isaac's false hope concerning Esau. Hebrews, on the other hand, places the emphasis on Isaac's faith in that realm whose builder and maker is God. Where men walk by sight, they have short-term vision, but to walk by faith means that we move in terms of all time and eternity. This Hebrews does not allow us to forget. Jacob is also singled out for his faith and for having blessed Joseph's 2 sons. They were thus exalted to the position lost by Reuben, the firstborn. This is a curious fact because Judah in actuality replaced Reuben. Jacob blessed Ephraim, the younger of Joseph's 2 sons. Why were Joseph's sons blessed? What was their relationship to the city of God? Humanly speaking, Joseph's sons, as half Egyptian and members of a powerful family, were born rich. Surely they needed no additional inheritance. But Jacob, by his blessing, included them in God's promise. Their future was not to be in Egypt, but in Israel. Verse 21. In verse 22, Joseph, in dying, looked also to God's promised realm, and he therefore instructed his family to carry his body in due time back to the promised land. Moses is the focus of verses 23-29. At age 3 months, he was hidden by his parents in faith and was discovered and adopted by Pharaoh's daughter. But, on coming of age, he identified himself with the Hebrews rather than Pharaoh's family. His choice was affliction as against, quote, the pleasures of sin, verse 25. He did this, we are told, quote, esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures of Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward, verse 26. Very literally, this means that any and all present contempt Moses might endure meant less to him than the very great reward, however distant and remote, that would be his from the Messiah. We are plainly told that not only was the coming great kingdom of God very real to Moses, but so also was its king. This was logical. All kingdoms have kings, and from the early days, God's realm had for the believer its coming king. To assume otherwise is to assume an illogical and unwarranted stupidity on the part of Moses and others. The law, when given to Moses, was the law of the king who reigned in heaven and was to come. The reward from this king over all kings made any other recompense trivial. Moved by this faith, Moses, quote, forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible, verse 26. This took place after he killed the Egyptian, Exodus 2:13. Not a vague faith, but a very specific one moved Moses. Because modern, quote-unquote, faith is too often vague and fuzzy, we must not assume that Moses' faith was similar. Hebrews tells us that it was specific and firm. How specific that faith was, verse 28 tells us. The death of all the firstborn in Egypt was decreed by God. Israel could only avoid the judgment by recourse to the Passover blood, quote, lest he that destroyeth the firstborn should touch them, end quote. Having seen the other 9 plagues, Israel obeyed God at this point and saved its firstborn. Faith requires specific action. To limit faith to an easily held belief is a serious error. The Hebrews here had occasion to know the powers of God against Egypt and potentially against them. Israel complied with God's requirement as set forth by Moses, but we are told that it was Moses who through faith kept the Passover. The firstborn of Egypt died, but not of Israel. In verse 29 we are told, quote, by faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which the Egyptians essaying to do were drowned, end quote. For Moses, the parting of the Red Sea was an act of God for Israel. Therefore, they could pass safely to the other shore. For the Egyptians, it was a freakish natural event that they could take advantage of, and, as a result, they were drowned. Quote, natural events, end quote, are not so selective. In the wilderness, Israel whined and complained about both God and Moses. None of this is mentioned by Hebrews because its emphasis is on what God's supernatural faith accomplished for a people through one man and his submission to the Almighty. It was not Moses' faith or work that did it, but the Lord himself. Moses was God's instrument. In Numbers 12:3, we read that, quote, the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth, end quote. Moses did not seem to be meek to his contemporaries, nor was he. His meekness was towards God, whom he served faithfully and well. It takes a strange arrogance for men to find fault with Moses. 5 times in 6 verses we read, by faith Moses, or by faith he. This strong emphasis on Moses as a man of faith is telling, or, quote, by faith Abraham appears only twice, verses 8 and 9. Abraham held fast to faith, although virtually alone. Moses demonstrated his faith against Egypt, an ungodly empire, and against Israel, a rebellious people. Like Enoch before him, Genesis 5:24, Moses walked with God, and Michael the archangel had a part in his burial, Jude 9. Exodus 33 and Numbers 12:7 and 8 tell us that Moses was closer to God than any other prophet and unique in his revelation of God to the people. He accomplished more in his lifetime than any other Old Testament saint, and it was Moses and Elijah who appeared to Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration, Matthew 17:3. God gave his law through Moses, and Moses was also the first of the prophets. Hebrews 11 tells us about men of faith who lived and died. The epitaph in Westminster Abbey for the Wesley brothers is a fitting one. Quote, God buries his workmen and carries on his work. Hebrews 11 gives us a list of men who worked and died in the faith as an encouragement to us. We have no right to be discouraged, and we have been blessed by their labours. We should so live and work that others who follow us will be the richer for our efforts.